Yeah, I was trying to grab my phone.
It's his anus. It's prolapsing.
God, please no.
Why did you actively burp into the mic?
Because I
You
can do what I want with it.
Up to your mouth.
Hey everyone, welcome to the R&R Podcast. I'm Randy.
I'm also Randy.
And
We are Randy. We are Randy. We are Randy. We are Randy. We are Randy.
Checks.
Play the intro right there. Just play.
I'm gonna cut off the screen too.
All right.
Hi everyone. We're here today with my lovely fiance. We are.
I'm not your fiance.
Yeah. Anyway,
Get out of here.
shut up. We have my fiance off screen. Say hi, baby.
Hi.
Let's hope that got picked up.
It might.
Hello?
Yes.
Just booster.
Boost. Tell me, Reed, what's on the docket for today?
We're gonna do another what if scenario.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The last couple of them did really good.
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah, so kind of along the lines of the things that we're interested in,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we did a what if Back to the Future, which obviously leaning more towards you.
My interest. Yeah.
I mean, I also like Back to the Future, but I mean, I don't have
Shut
that.
up. Leave my
Um,
shrine out of this.
I don't have a shrine to Michael J. Fox over there. So,
It's okay.
how did you get that picture? He's naked.
Don't ask questions you don't want the
Um,
answers to.
Yeah, so we're gonna do a what if, and our what if today is going to be what if Ahsoka never leaves the Jedi Order.
Ooh.
Why are there bubbles?
They are catnip bubbles because my fiance is a sadistic mess that wants to have the cats go crazy while we're recording.
I saw a bubble just go right in front of my face. Yeah, we're gonna do what if Ahsoka had never left the Jedi Order. So a couple of the like the setups here. So that means that when it comes to the whole like, Barriss doing what she did and then framing Ahsoka, let's just say this time the Jedi Council isn't stupid. They listen to Anakin, and they actually
They do a proper investigation.
they do a proper investigation. They don't just blame Ahsoka. They're not just like
They don't look at it at face value and go, "Oh, that must be it."
exactly. Yeah, so they actually like investigate. They figure out it was Barriss. We can still have that really cool fight scene with Barriss and Anakin, where Barriss actually tries to think she can run a fade on the Chosen One.
Yeah.
Right? We can have that cool scene. And yeah, so Ahsoka never feels like she was slighted. She never, she doesn't lose that trust, and she never leaves.
Okay.
And so then what we can do is we can discuss major key events, because I said this to you last night when I proposed it, is that in Rebels her code name is Fulcrum, right?
Yeah.
Because like she's like they're calling her that essentially because the whole rebellion is built upon her.
Built upon this.
Well, you could call her Fulcrum because you can essentially say that the whole story after that moment, if you change it,
Tilts.
it tilts based off of her leaving. So we can discuss what would have happened. So like, just to start off, she would have been there whenever they went to go rescue the Chancellor.
Mm-hmm.
She would have been there in the opening scene.
She would have. She would have been there in the opening scene of, well, because here's the deal. Knowing what we know, Bo-Katan still needs help from the Jedi from Mandalore. So, do we really think that unless they put somebody else on the Mandalore job...
I think that I was actually thinking about that earlier, is that because the whole Siege of Mandalore is happening at the exact same time, my whole deal is that, I mean, they wouldn't send her.
Not without Anakin.
Not without Anakin, exactly. But whenever they find out that, and okay, but even if they are there, when they find out the Chancellor's been kidnapped, what are they going to do? They're going to send Anakin.
Here's my thing: the Chancellor's been kidnapped. Why aren't they sending, the Jedi Grandmaster and his next in command, Mace Windu? Why aren't Yoda and Windu the ones going to go save the Chancellor?
Well, I think they were. I don't know, because that's the issue with it, is because it's kind of undefined where they're at, because in the 2D Tchaikovsky Clone Wars animation, the one that came out years and years and years ago, Yoda was on the planet whenever it happened, because Grievous brought a whole bunch he brought a whole bunch of droids with him whenever he kidnapped the Chancellor. So Yoda's on planet, right? But also so it's understood that they're not just fighting in the air.
Right.
There's fighting everywhere.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a good question. And I don't really know if I have an appropriate answer for that. So in this scenario, we can make the scenario what it is. So let's just say,
I have a curiosity.
Yeah.
Did this happen right before Anakin went and he was going to be on the Jedi Council?
No. This is the beginning of Episode 3, the movie. This is the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan and Anakin go to save Chancellor Palpatine.
so the season where Ahsoka leaves is what season?
Season 7. No, Season 6.
This happens in season 6.
And then Season 7 picks up where she
Right.
goes to the Siege of Mandalore with Bo-Katan. That's happening at the same time that Anakin and Obi-Wan are saving the Chancellor.
Well, no, because remember in season 7 they actually leave. He leaves to go save the Chancellor.
Yeah.
Season
You're
7.
talking about Palpatine, right?
Yes.
Okay, I keep getting confused by Chancellor because
Oh, sorry. So we make the rules in this what if scenario.
Okay.
So let's just say this. Let's say Mace Windu and Yoda are fighting on planet.
Okay.
Okay.
And they can't get into the air.
They can't get into the air, so
Okay.
they send Obi-Wan and Anakin because they're not on planet.
Okay.
They're off planet and they're closer. Anakin is going to bring Ahsoka with him. Okay. Even if they're already on Mandalore, which I feel like maybe they would be, because he did show up. So maybe he shows up, blah blah blah. But then the Chancellor, that takes full priority. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say Ahsoka goes with Anakin. That leaves Mandalore.
Okay.
That leaves Bo-Katan to fend for herself.
Who are we sending to Mandalore then?
We're not worried about that.
Okay.
We're not worried about that.
that's
Okay.
a whole other.
That's a whole other
situation.
situation. You know what we'll say? Here's what we'll say. We'll say Anakin and Ahsoka leave, and they leave. I don't know. Let's say, I don't know, because it doesn't really matter. Because here's the thing: if Ahsoka doesn't stay, Maul wins Mandalore. It doesn't matter who stays. If it's Ahsoka, she beats him and whatever, and then he still has his moment. But if it's just Maul, he wins. He wins, and he takes Mandalore.
So that would be a whole other potential discussion.
It is.
because Then what would happen after Maul gets to Mandalore? Because then where's Moff Gideon come into all this as well?
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
And
Oh,
then even that, I mean, because we're gonna talk about
this is butterfly effect all over.
It is, because it's one of those things where getting sort of off subject, but it stays within the focus. George R.R. Martin, who writes the Game of Thrones series,
Yeah.
everybody is always asking him about what if scenarios for certain characters, and he said you get into dangerous territory whenever you talk about rewriting certain things, because there's a butterfly effect. If you change one portion of a character's story, the butterfly effect is for everybody. It's not just their story. So taking Ahsoka off of Mandalore means that Maul wins. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they put some other random capable Jedi. Maul beats them. So, anyways,
Was this a situation where Obi-Wan was there too? And
no, he wasn't there. Obi-Wan
he
wasn't there.
different
It was just
situation?
Anakin. It was Anakin. Anakin was there to see her. So in all actuality, they probably wouldn't have even been there.
The moment that we're talking about that you'll remember is when he gave Ahsoka the new lightsabers, the blue ones.
And then
This is the moment that we're talking about.
and then the troopers all painted their helmets to look like her
Yeah.
face paint.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that probably never happened. So basically we open up episode 3, instead of there being 2 ships, there's 3.
Yeah.
Okay? So that means
no, there'd still only be 2 ships. Just he wouldn't be using his Jedi Starfighter. He'd be using the B-wing.
he would be
He'd
using
the
the
B-wing
B-wing,
because he would have R2 and Ahsoka.
yeah, and then Ahsoka would be running probably be either
Running gunner.
running gunner.
Mhm.
yeah, so it doesn't really change. I mean, it doesn't look as cool because you don't have the 2 Jedi starfighters, whatever. But
still, the
it-
B-wing and the revolving,
look-
the unirevolve around it.
oh yeah, dude.
Oh,
it's-
dude.
So everything happens the same way. I think that the only thing that
go to scrape the droids off of Obi-Wan, it's just the gun right into
I wouldn't
his
even say that. I
face.
would say that like Anakin would just like get above him, and then
That's sick.
Ahsoka would just start. Obi-Wan would be like, "Okay, watch where you're pointing that thing," and she'd be like, "Oh, just chill out." Goo goo goo. She like take shots, whatever. They would. I think it'd be even funnier. The whole bit with like, it's like the whole. Have you noticed the shields are still up? Like yeah, it'd just be funnier.
So they get onto the ship.
You get onto the ship.
Okay.
Everything sort of happens, and I think at that point they still leave R2 behind, but it's 3. It's Ahsoka with Anakin and with Obi-Wan.
Yeah. They get up to the top.
Well, here's the thing. So I actually had there are 2 different ways I think this could go.
Okay.
I think that they all 3 get to the top at the same time, or in the midst of the chaos, Anakin and Ahsoka get split up from Obi-Wan, and Anakin and Ahsoka show up to the throne room before Obi-Wan does.
Okay.
So I mean we can do whichever one we want.
If we're talking about the fact that the reason why he doesn't fall to that temptation is because Obi-Wan's not unconscious and there are 3 people there.
Well, that's the thing we have to decide is they show up into the room.
I think they would all be there at the same
This
time
is the
because
moment
technically,
that you're talking about when Anakin turns Sith, pretty much. Right?
yeah.
No,
whenever
I
he
mean,
kills
no.
Count Dooku.
Whenever he kills Count Dooku, he starts down the path.
Yeah.
So Obi-Wan and Anakin got caught in the ray shields.
They did
Ahsoka would be there for that, and all 3 of them would get caught in the ray shields.
exactly.
Which means they would all 3 end up in the throne room at the same time.
Well, the ray shields happen after they rescue Palpatine. Because they get captured in the ray shields and they get brought to General Grievous.
That's right. That's right.
So they show up to the wait. Yeah, that's what happens
Yeah.
because he's like activate the ray shields.
Yeah.
Okay, so they show up in the throne room. It's all 3 of them. So
Mhm.
at this point, Count Dooku shows up. He's got his 2 B2 super battle droids with him. Then maybe they participate in the fight, maybe they don't. I don't know. But basically it's a 3v1.
The Master and 2 Padawan.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
So at this point we have let's say that we can reasonably say that Anakin and Obi-Wan would handle Dooku, and Anakin would tell Ahsoka get the Chancellor out of here. And they're essentially just trying to distract Count Dooku.
Yeah. Okay. She would take out the B2 battle droids.
I also feel like Ahsoka would get him out of there, and then she would go back.
Exactly. That's the thing.
And
Yeah.
She wouldn't just leave Anakin there because
No.
she's Anakin's Padawan. She's not gonna listen.
Well, yeah.
Um,
So then we have to decide like how's this gonna go. So
Here's my thing. Chancellor being in the Palpatine being in the room is
Yes.
what made him kill Count Dooku.
remind
So-
me real quick.
Mhm.
Exactly what happened in the initial situation.
Okay, in the
It's
movie,
been a minute.
while they're fighting Count Dooku, Obi-Wan gets knocked unconscious, and Anakin overpowers Dooku, and Palpatine tells him to kill him.
kill him.
Do it. That's where the do it.
Do it.
Do it.
And that's when he decapitates Dooku.
Gotcha.
And then he's like, I shouldn't have done
I shouldn't have
that.
done that.
He was an unarmed
That
prisoner.
is the start
There-
of the
okay.
decline.
I can see that not happening because
With the
Even-
Chancellor not in the room,
even if he were to be though, okay, even on a chance that maybe she completely disregarded orders and decided to stay and just got him away from Dooku, right?
Mhm.
He was still in the room regardless, so Obi-Wan could have still been knocked out. However,
Ahsoka
earlier,
would have been there.
She would have
She
prevented
would've-
him. She that's not the way, and he would have listened to her because of his bond with Ahsoka.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's say Obi-Wan still gets knocked out.
Yep.
Obi-Wan still gets knocked out. Ahsoka comes back into the room
To help with Dooku.
to help with Dooku, helps with Dooku, and then Palpatine comes back into the room at the same time that Ahsoka and Anakin basically have Dooku at their mercy. Now we can say, let's go ahead and say for brevity's sake that Anakin still cuts off Dooku's hands.
Mm-hmm.
He still does that. Like that's still because
That's a disarming factor.
it is. It's a and so
and that's the only way he ended up with Dooku's lightsaber anyway.
exactly. So
So
he cuts. So let's say let's say then it's Ahsoka and Anakin, right?
Mhm.
And let's say Ahsoka she's a skilled combatant, but at this point she's not who she is now, right?
Yeah.
So let's say that Dooku manages to like, because he is Count Dooku. Let's just say that he manages to sort of like, I don't know, he manages to like use her own momentum against her, right? And trips her up a little bit. So then it becomes a 1v1. And Anakin's like, I need to end this now. Because like it's like he's already taken out Obi-Wan. He's about to take out my Padawan, and he kicks it into high gear.
Mhm.
And that's whenever then you can have that moment where Anakin's like where Count Dooku starts egging him on. And then Anakin's like, all right, cool, I'm going to kick it into high gear. And then hits him with the move, blah, blah, blah. So then you have him here. So then you have this moment where, like, Anakin has Dooku, right? Both sabers crossed. And then Palpatine just appears back into the room after Ahsoka's taken him out. Appears back into the room, and he's like, you have to kill him. You have to kill him. He's a dangerous man. You have to kill him. And then,
Ahsoka would say,
Even I feel like with how the Star Wars cinematic universe is done, okay,
Mhm.
how it is done, there is an air of suspense and
Mhm.
also, for lack of a better term, drama and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I feel like what would have happened is Ahsoka would have been also knocked out at some point, or at least prone,
yeah,
you know, and seemed knocked out. And Anakin's about to go for the kill,
yeah.
and next thing you hear is just a quiet,
Just a wait. Just a wait. Yeah, a don't. Yeah.
and he looks at Ahsoka and he realizes he doesn't want his own Padawan, someone that he cares for deeply,
Yeah.
to see him do that. And
Yeah.
so that's what ultimately stops him. He just arrests Dooku.
Because I think that in the original timeline, if Obi-Wan's not knocked out and he's there with Anakin, that doesn't happen. So what we're doing is we're still keeping that. We're introducing a third party, and we're introducing an emotional connection.
More
So
than Obi-Wan.
more than Obi-Wan is, yeah, because Obi-Wan's a brother, but Ahsoka's almost like a daughter to him at this point. So the emotional connection is heavier. So then you have Count Dooku, no hands. You have Palpatine, who at this point is going to cause a fuss about this, right? But at the same time, so then we have a decision to make. Does he overplay his hand? Palpatine
does Palpatine like show that he's a Sith?
does he overplay his hand right here?
No, I don't
No,
think
he
would.
wouldn't
I
do
think
that.
his
He would
move
not
started-
risk. He sat there and he constructed. I mean, you're talking about this is the dude that activated the Coruscant Sith Temple just to hide his presence from the Jedi Council.
Yeah.
See, I think what he would do
He's too
next,
calculated.
if he is dead set on Anakin, right?
Yeah,
Dead set.
He is.
He's going to see Ahsoka as a new threat. Therefore, there's going to be more situations as if when she got turned away from the Jedi Council in the first place.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Palpatine is now going to set his targets
On Ahsoka.
and try to probably
That's
twist
the rest of them.
Anakin's
Yep.
perspective of Ahsoka, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that. Ultimately, I feel like if Ahsoka never was, pretty much banished,
Yeah.
Anakin would have been, if not turned, it would have been delayed because it was still prophesized. Regardless, I feel like it may have been after
'Cause-
Leia moved born at that point.
Because true, he still is the chosen one.
He's supposed to bring balance
He's
to the
supposed to
Force.
bring balance to the
But-
Force, which
But Yoda does say, I don't remember if it's in Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, says a prophecy that misread may have been.
Yeah.
So
that was Attack of the Clones. I
That was
remember
Attack of the Clones.
Could have been, and if
So-
Anakin never went to the dark side, that could have been a reason as to why it didn't go as.
They believe that he's the chosen one because he has the highest potential ceiling out of anyone the Jedi Council's ever seen.
Mhm.
The thing is, that's their interpretation of it.
Yeah.
Midichlorian counts are off the charts.
I mean, so that's my thing. Like, we have to take that into account. Like, yeah, we call him the chosen one. He's the chosen one. But to be fair, there's an argument that Luke could be the chosen one.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Okay, there's an argument because I know that Anakin or Darth Vader is the one who struck the final blow, but Luke is the one who was the catalyst. He lit that fire.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an argument that Luke could be the chosen one. So I mean, when you get into the whole prophecy, yeah,
How it's interpreted.
it's a lot like every sect of religion out there. You read it, you interpret it, how you interpret it. So the prophecy was interpreted by them. They were like, this is how we interpret it. That kid, that looks like a promising young man right there. The slave, the man with harboring anger issues and abandonment issues. Let's train this man up. Anyways, so
they get back to Coruscant.
well,
Alright.
so let's just say they still do the whole bit with General Grievous. All that still happens.
Another happy landing.
Another happy landing that still happens, and then they get back to Coruscant. Okay, so the thing is we're essentially having to come up with a third storyline here, right? Because Revenge of the Sith is
I could see a potential moment already for Palpatine to try and plant doubt in Anakin's mind about Ahsoka.
you know what? It would
It would do for her going against his orders, essentially.
yeah.
Not listening, and just slight comments here and there, like,
Yeah.
That Padawan of yours doesn't listen very well, does she?
Yeah.
And things like that,
Well, that's my thing is I don't know if he would, because the way that he is, the way that Palpatine does things, he presents half truths, and because essentially they are still part of it is the truth.
Well, I mean, she didn't listen very well.
Well, I know, but that's the thing. But like that wouldn't be. It would have to be something so damning. But so they get back to Coruscant. They land. Anakin gets the parade. Ahsoka goes with him. So then my question is that when Anakin gets pulled aside by Padme, he sent like that whole interaction where Anakin finds out that Padme's pregnant, right? So maybe we say that still happens between the two of them.
Yeah.
Ahsoka, then maybe Anakin sends Ahsoka with the politicians to do that thing. Maybe he's like Obi-Wan doesn't want to do it. I don't want to do it. You go do it. They like you more than they like me. That that kind of thing. So
Do you think he'd tell Ahsoka about Padme?
That's a
Because
question.
There's proof, I believe, that Ahsoka knew of Padme's hand.
I think she would figure it out. I honestly think she would because Anakin he would find out that she's pregnant. He would immediately start having nightmares, and that would change his whole attitude and the way that he operates. She would notice that.
There's a Forces of Destiny episode, which is it's the animated thing where it's all like the females in Star Wars.
Yeah.
There's an episode with Padme and Ahsoka
Okay.
where Padme says,
Yeah,
"You and
I
Anakin
know.
make a great team." I sent this to you on
Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah.
You and Anakin make a great team. And then Ahsoka looks at her and goes, "I could say the same about the two of you." So I definitely
Yeah.
think she knows. Rex
He would've,
knew.
found out.
Rex
Oh,
knew
Rex. Well, I mean,
because
Rex
was complicit.
Rex body blocked.
Yeah,
Rex body blocked while Anakin was talking
I
to
think
her.
Ahsoka would be a big key factor in stabilizing Anakin after all the nightmares.
I agree. Because yeah.
if he didn't straight up tell her, she would get it out of him.
What-
She would be determined
I
to
think
get it back.
I think she finds out and she gets it out of him, and then Anakin never goes to Yoda and never gets the poor advice that Yoda gives him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but to be fair, Anakin actually talking to somebody because I feel like if Yoda would have known exactly what was going on, maybe
said those words.
he wouldn't have said those words.
What was it that Yoda had said again?
He basically told Anakin he did the whole attachments are bad.
Yeah.
If you're feeling depressed, you are. Kill yourself.
You
That's where he says fear of loss,
Leads to anger.
fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering, and then he said he talked.
Where all this can also go down to another different path entirely after all this. If, say, Anakin never returned, right?
Yeah,
Everything with Ezra would have been different too.
that's a whole other. That's a whole other
We have
tangent.
too many. We have too many
Okay.
doubles.
This is just the potential, further down the line.
So this is what I think. This
We
is
need a
what
cork board with a
Th-
time
this
limit.
is what I think. I think Palpatine still tries to dig his hooks in. He still has that meeting with Anakin. Anakin, I want you to be my personal representative on the Jedi Council. You rescued me. You helped capture Count Dooku. Now, here's the deal.
I think Anakin would push for Ahsoka to take that position.
No, he wouldn't.
No?
No, because he loves her, but Anakin still believes that he believes he is the best candidate.
Yes.
That would be his best place to protect both her and Padme and his.
I see what you're doing. Here's the thing. Anakin is a nice guy, except when he's not. And when it comes to, he wants to be on the council.
Another thing we need to discuss about what's gonna with this different timeline is who's going to be the Vader of this timeline, because there's got to be.
Well, no. I mean, there hasn't. Okay, so Anakin, Palpatine is still going to dig his hooks in.
Yeah.
So essentially, what's going to happen is here's what I think happens. I think Anakin tells Ahsoka everything that's going on, right? And then Ahsoka, I feel like Ahsoka will tell him, "You need to tell Obi-Wan."
Mm-hmm.
She will tell him, and he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to tell Obi-Wan, but Ahsoka's like, "Look, I can only Ahsoka can't really advise him on what to do. All she can do is like,
she would basically say, if you're not gonna tell him, I will.
I will.
Yeah.
So I think what happens
Those
is,
three were tight.
I think you have this moment where at the same time that at the same time that Anakin puts it together that Palpatine is a Sith Lord and Palpatine reveals that he knows about Padme and knows how to save her, Ahsoka is having a similar conversation with Obi-Wan,
Kenobi.
telling Obi-Wan what's going on. So then you have this moment where basically on the same planet, separated by only a few miles, Ahsoka's telling Obi-Wan about Padme being pregnant. Padme's probably even there, and then Palpatine's revealing himself to be a Sith Lord and telling Anakin that he knows how to save. So here's what happens. Here's what happens. He still kills Mace Windu, right? I think here's what I think. I think Anakin is not privy to the fact that Obi-Wan knows, right? Because he thinks Ahsoka's the only one that knows. I don't want to tell Obi-Wan because I don't want to lose Padme. I don't want to lose Obi-Wan. I don't want to lose it. I want to have everything. Anakin wants to have his cake and eat it too. That is the whole crux of his character. He wants to have his cake and he wants to eat it.
I could even see it being written to where they show up the moment he kills Windu.
I see, and well, I don't know. See, I don't know about that. I think maybe because there are so many things about the movie. Like, I don't want to change the opera scene. I don't want to change the. Have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the White? Because that's Palpatine laying the seed right there.
I don't think he would kill Mace. Hear me out, okay?
And I don't think it would go that far because what would happen is in this timeline, because of the fact that Anakin has already gotten it off his chest and he's not carrying it so heavily, he doesn't go to Mace Windu. He actually considers it like, wait a minute. Like, Ahsoka told me that I need to talk to Obi-Wan, but I don't have to talk to Obi-Wan. I can solve my problem right here, right now, because it's a butterfly effect, right? You change one thing, all these different ripples. So he doesn't go to Mace. Mace doesn't know. Mace doesn't take the entire Jedi Council to get whipped by Palpatine. Palpatine just tells Anakin, I can do this for you. Here's what we need to do.
I think, okay, so I see where you're going with this, maybe, sort of. I see this part. I'm thinking, ahead of that, too. Essentially, after this, I think Anakin will still go Sith, technically speaking. However, it has been proven, before he dies, he becomes Anakin again.
Yes.
So I think there's a possibility for him to become Anakin again
Yeah.
without dying.
Well, so I agree with that. So here's the butterfly effect.
Okay.
Palpatine reveals to Anakin that he's a Sith Lord. He knows about Padme, and he knows a way to save her. But the only way that Anakin's going to be able to learn how to save her is if he learns how to use both sides of the Force. That is Palpatine basically drawing the line in, pulling Anakin in, because he knows that if he gets Anakin to dip into the dark side, he's going to dip into the dark side. He's going to dip hard, okay?
I think the person to get him out of the dark side will be Ahsoka.
It'll be all three of them. Because I think because Padme couldn't do it by herself. Obi-Wan and Padme couldn't do it on Mustafar, but if you have all three of them, you have the triumvirate, the triumvirate of good to pull him out. So here's what happens. I just thought about this. The butterfly effect is that happens. Anakin doesn't tell Mace Windu, but you want to know who does reveal the entire plan because he knows that it's best for him at this point because he knows his time is very short, very limited.
Sidious.
Count Dooku.
Oh, Count Dooku.
Count Dooku.
Oh.
He tried to tell Obi-Wan.
No.
He tried to tell Obi-Wan. He's not dead. He
He's
tried to tell Obi-Wan on Geonosis. He tried to tell him.
Ahsoka would go to Obi-Wan and Padme about this thing. They would go to the prison. They would go to the lockup where Count Dooku is being held, and they would confront Dooku about it.
So
And then Dooku would just lay it out there. And
No,
go, he's
so-
probably talking to Anakin as we speak.
no, listen. So
Listen.
so he tried to tell Obi-Wan on Geonosis.
Yes.
But Obi-Wan was like, "That's preposterous. Like, what's your
You're
You're
stupid.
stupid. You're stupid. It's preposterous." I think with Count Dooku alive, and him, I think whenever when they bring Count Dooku in for questioning, he only wants to talk
To Obi-Wan.
to Obi-Wan. He only wants to talk to Obi-Wan. He doesn't want to talk to Anakin. He doesn't want to talk to Ahsoka. He wants to talk to Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan,
being stubborn about talking.
He
to
wants-
him.
he doesn't want to talk to him. But then guess what happens? The Palpatine tries to put Anakin on the Jedi Council. Boop. Red flag. And then Ahsoka comes to Obi-Wan and tells Obi-Wan, "Look, Anakin told me this in confidence. He doesn't want to go to you. He wants to try to figure out on his own."
I I can see something happening.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan goes to go talk to Count Dooku finally, right?
Yeah.
But Palpatine's already on the case. So he gets there, and unfortunately, somebody had managed to infiltrate and kill Dooku. But as before he's dying, Dooku's able to tell Obi-Wan what he.
So
needs
you
to
have
say.
this moment in Episode 1. One of the final shots is Obi-Wan holding Qui-Gon as he dies. And in Episode 3, you have Obi-Wan holding Count Dooku as he dies, and with his last breath, he tells him, Palpatine. Palpatine's the Sith Lord.
And with
and
that,
that's how he dies.
with that, I think, and this is why I said I don't think that that Anakin would kill Mace Windu. Like, I'm still on the idea that he does go to Mace, right?
Yeah.
And the whole system plays out how it does.
Yeah.
Anakin walks in, and this confrontation, he starts to get angry, and he delves. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka come in through the door because they just got done talking to Count Dooku.
Well, see, that's where we have to figure out the timeline, okay? We have to, but also we have to figure out Palpatine telling Anakin that he knows the power to save Padme is enough to get Anakin hooked, but there has to be something to turn him. Now, for Palpatine knew that Anakin was going to tell Mace Windu. So he knew that they were going to show up. Palpatine is so egotistical enough to know that he can draw it out long enough because he knows that the temptation is there for Anakin, that he could almost foresee it. He says, I foresaw it. It wasn't that he could see the future. He's a chess master.
So, quick question about this.
He knows how to move pieces around. So he knew Anakin would show up at the right moment. He'd be like, "Look, the Jedi are taking over. I told you."
Plot, in regards to plot, the initial plot, right? So when Anakin kills Mace Windu, right?
Yeah.
That's the final straw when he goes overall Sith Lord.
Henceforth,
So-
you shall be known as
Yeah.
Darth Vader.
Between when he kills Dooku
Mm-hmm.
and when he kills Windu, how long is it in between?
Like 2 days?
No, no, it's longer than that.
'Cause, okay, so I'd say
It's
let's
not-
go like a few weeks. Okay?
Yeah, I would say a few weeks because everything happens with everything happens with Kashyyyk and all that.
After that, okay, how long is it within the same night that Anakin is on Mustafar and everything with that?
Well, that happens almost
That
immediately.
happens immediately after he
Because
gets the
he
order to go to the
he
Mustafar.
storms the Jedi Temple, kills all the Jedi, and then he goes to the Mustafar system.
Essentially, then that would have never happened at that point because he didn't kill Windu and all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
he wasn't officially deemed, Sith Lord. at
Yeah.
that point. So we're extending the timeline in a way, so meaning that Padme doesn't die yet and all that with
Yeah.
giving birth. The catalyst that you were talking about to make Luke tip over would still be Ahsoka, except maybe she dies, heavy quotes, okay, in Anakin's eyes, right? And then Palpatine then proceeds to go forward. Well,
Cat?
okay. Essentially, long story short, without the thematics, if you can't even protect your Padawan, how are you going to protect Padme and your children? And so that's what initially tips him over. And you're going to have this little in-between bit where Ahsoka ends up, waking up from whatever happened and trying to, a little side plot, essentially, of her trying to get back,
Mhm.
And after, essentially, Anakin has gone Sith, without the dramatics of Mustafar burning, Padme dying, stuff like that, he's, maybe before some of this happens, this complete and ultimate life-changing factor for Anakin, he does go Sith, right?
Yeah.
But he's about to do something similar to the Mustafar scene, and you have Ahsoka show up.
Yeah. So what I thought of is taking your idea of Palpatine already sending somebody to kill Count Dooku. So here's what I think. I think that he sends a squadron of clones that have already basically been turned. He sends them to kill Dooku, right? Whenever Ahsoka and Obi-Wan get there, they have to fight through these clones. What you have is a moment where basically Palpatine sets it up to where the scene after that where Palpatine and Anakin are talking and Palpatine reveals he's like this is what I am and I know how to help this. I know how to help you. The Jedi can't help you. The Jedi don't even trust you enough to fill you in on their plans. He goes like, what do you mean what plans? He goes, oh, you haven't heard? And then shows the security footage of them killing clones to break into the prison cell, and then they just show the moment. They just show Obi-Wan and Ahsoka standing over Count Dooku's body, and Count Dooku's dead.
That would be an utter betrayal to Anakin at that point.
He just doctors the footage, and so basically it's the same. It's the same energy as
half truths.
half truths.
They're the half truths.
They're half truths.
They're that all that actually happened, but not in the right order that he's showing Anakin.
And then of course Palpatine, the salesman that he is, he goes, remind me, whenever you went to them and you told them that I wanted you to be my liaison on the council, remind me what they said to you. They don't trust you. You want to know why they don't trust you? Because they don't want to have to fill you in on their plan. Because they know.
Also, the fact that Ahsoka would have been the one to prevent him from killing Dooku, and then it's seemingly she and Obi-Wan are the ones that actually killed Dooku.
Mm-hmm. So to Anakin's confused, he wants answers, but the thing is Palpatine starts taking these half-truths, connecting them in Anakin's mind, and leading him down the path to where Anakin just says, it's like I can't believe they would do this to me. And so and he reacts strongly, but the thing is that there's still that seed in the back of his mind. Why though? But why?
Why would they do that?
Why would they do that? But he still goes along with it because Palpatine hasn't lied to him yet in his mind. And in his mind, he literally seen Ahsoka and Obi-Wan go against the Jedi Order. Because you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where so I love the fact that we're having this conversation, and I'm looking at the A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and the Return of the Jedi posters. I love it. So
here's my thing. Fast forward a little bit, okay? Palpatine and Yoda's fight, okay? I have an idea. Yoda does not send Obi-Wan after Anakin. They send Ahsoka.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about Order 66.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the entirety of Order 66. Okay.
Let's get through that first.
So we're already like 30 something, over 40 minutes in. So this will be it right here. Okay. So we're on the home stretch. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Anakin has been presented these half truths. Palpatine has connected those dots in his mind. Anakin is at this point not entirely convinced, but he's seen enough evidence that he can believe that the Jedi are involved in some plot to overthrow the Republic.
I think,
okay,
before you get too much further.
Yeah.
If we're gonna have Ahsoka be the one to fight Anakin, right?
Well, we're gonna
get to that.
If that's what you're kind of getting to, though, prior to that, Ahsoka gets news from Padme that she's going into labor.
Yeah.
That needs to happen.
I agree.
That needs to happen. Ahsoka has to have that knowledge.
Yeah.
When she goes to fight Anakin.
Yeah. So, okay.
Because that'll be crucial information to get him out of it.
So, okay. So, like I said, Anakin's been presented these half-truths. Palpatine, being the expert salesman that he is, asks the right questions, fishes the answers out of Anakin, and gets him in the right mindset to where Anakin is convinced enough that the Jedi are plotting a takeover, and it is his job and his alone to stop it. Mm-hmm. Palpatine is basically showing him the way. Okay? Mm-hmm. So at this point, instead of it being a full-blown invasion, it needs to be one of those things where he doesn't knight him as Darth Vader, obviously, because that would be a little too much at this point. But Palpatine can basically give him the authority and send him with the clones, who at this point, he hasn't Order 66 all of them. He has a squadron, he has a whole battalion of reserve clone troopers that are already loyal to him and to the cause to go with Anakin.
Yeah.
And they know this is your leader, okay? They send Anakin to the Jedi Temple, and he's going to force them to surrender. All right? So then what you have this moment where Anakin's going to show up in the council chambers. He's going to show up with a full battalion of clone troopers. They're not going to be 501st, probably. I don't know. They may or may not.
That's what I was about to ask, because he would have to have some sort of a fail-safe for in case Anakin chose not to use, because Palpatine's reserve would be the Coruscant Guard.
Yes.
Okay. That's not Anakin's crew. Anakin knows his crew more than anything else.
Yes.
He would insist on using his own crew.
Yeah.
Unless
he would need a fail-safe to trigger 66
Just
on
in that.
everyone.
Whoever goes with Anakin is going to already be triggered.
I feel like there's a way. There would have been a way. As you say, those loyal to Palpatine already, right?
Yeah.
There would have been a way. Guaranteed, there would have been a way that Palpatine would have made it that 501st could have been triggered to the 66 for that.
Wait. Okay. He orders Anakin to take his battalion of troopers. Anakin brings the 501st. He tells them, guys, look, we've been made privy that the Jedi Council is planning a takeover of the Republic. Come with me.
And they trust Anakin's word.
But Palpatine tells him, Palpatine says, if you encounter any pushback, if they become violent with you, you give the order. So you have the moment where Anakin is standing in the Jedi Council chambers surrounded by all the masters, with the 501st with him, and they're occupying the Jedi Temple. Mace Windu gives him the pushback. You want to know why? Because Mace Windu is Mace Windu. And Anakin gives the order. He says, Rex, execute Order 66. And then, boom, the fight's on. And then you have Anakin. And it's not Palpatine versus...
There still has to be a mass genocide session.
And it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
66 has to happen regardless of
It's going to happen. It's going to happen at the temple first. And what's going to happen is Palpatine is going to be... He's going to be listening. He's going to be... And as soon as Anakin gives the order... Palpatine gives the order. So what you have is, instead of it being Palpatine versus the Jedi Council, it's Anakin versus the Jedi Council. So Anakin still kills Mace Windu. He just does it on his own.
And that's what it essentially ultimately makes him
Boom.
into a Sith.
Boom.
And then you have
the scene with
Ahsoka.
You have
So-
the scene with Utapau
so
and
then-
Kenobi over there because he's still on Utapau right now.
And guess what?
And Yoda's still on Kashyyyk.
Okay, so actually, yeah, we didn't think about that. We didn't think about
Order
the whole...
66 happens while General Grievous is being destroyed and while Yoda's still on Kashyyyk because
Okay.
of the droid attack on the Wookiee.
Okay.
So now they come back to Coruscant.
Okay, so then we have to decide where does the whole thing with where does the whole thing with Count Dooku and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan fall? Because the thing is remember how we changed Ahsoka being on Mandalore? We can feasibly change Obi-Wan being on Utapau, because what we can do is we can change it to where all of that happens with Count Dooku. Obi-Wan.
I know him killing Mace is a big part of your whole shtick here, because Mace is the one that would give the pushback. But I don't see them sending anybody else to deal with Grievous other than either Obi-Wan or Mace
Okay,
Windu.
you want to know how I know they might send somebody else? As if the I'm sorry. If the whole thing with Count Dooku happens, he goes to the Jedi Council, he tells them what they know. They are getting ready to go, right?
Mhm.
They're getting ready to go. And the minute that they're all sort of like they're prepping, Anakin shows up with the 501st under the authority of the Chancellor. They haven't had a chance to send anybody yet.
So
Because
Grievous is still alive.
Grievous is still alive. They've been bickering about what to do.
That can also have potential plot in either the other Mandalorian plot or the Ezra Rebels plot.
Because in my opinion, the only reason why Obi-Wan even goes to Utapau is because they don't want to send Anakin, because obviously the Chancellor, he made it to where, they're not going to trust Anakin to send him, because he knew that if he sent Anakin to the Jedi Council with these orders from the Chancellor, they weren't going to trust him or the Chancellor. Ergo, Anakin would still be on Coruscant, separated from Obi-Wan. But if all this stuff happens, they're not separated. So what you have is, not only is Mace Windu there in the Jedi Council, but Ahsoka and Obi-Wan are there.
You still have the conflict with Rex, too. Because Rex didn't want to kill Ahsoka during Order 66 because of how close they were. So you still have that conflict.
So what you have here is you have this moment where Anakin's going to execute Order 66. The clones are going to start firing. Obviously, Ahsoka and Obi-Wan are going to go on the defensive. Mace Windu's going to go on the offensive against Anakin. And then all the Jedi Masters. So what you essentially have is you're going to have a big old fustercluck in the Jedi Council chambers, all right? And obviously it's going to spill out everywhere else. So then you have what you have this...
Ooh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I have an idea.
No, go ahead.
So you have all this happening, right?
Yeah.
And then essentially Palpatine gives a message to Anakin that he needs to be somewhere else. Let the 501st take care of the rest of the council.
Well, actually, what I was going to say is Anakin managed to take out a couple of masters, is going up against Mace Windu, and at the same time, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka are dealing with the 501st, and they have their interaction with Rex. And then Rex, I don't think Rex goes against. I think Rex shuts down. I liked the fact that Rex fought it, but he still gave in. But I think if he
seemed to be knocked out,
if he's
allow himself to be knocked out.
if he's surrounded, I think what happens is I think it'd be really cool is if there's just the same moment where Rex is like down his sights. He's got Obi-Wan and Ahsoka down his sights, and he's watching Anakin fight Mace Windu, and his brain gets overloaded. The chip short circuits. He has a brain aneurysm, and he just gets knocked out. And his nose starts to bleed, and he collapses.
I'm trying to also think about, okay, so after all, like, Anakin takes down a few masters or whatever.
Yeah.
Palpatine has other plans for him, so he has him leave, right?
Well, no, I don't think I think Anakin realizes that he's at a disadvantage because he's up against
So
two Jedi Masters.
He escapes, essentially.
He escapes.
Ahsoka sees this, and Obi-Wan tells her to go after him, bring him back, and not as in like bring him back to the council, bring Anakin back.
I
And then
think they both chase him.
I think they both do, but here's the thing.
Ahsoka needs to get
I
out
don't
of
think
there first.
Ahsoka would leave Rex behind. Not while he's sitting there on the floor.
Yeah. So you.
But she could assume he's dead too.
Fair.
That is a fair assessment,
we
but
have to make that choice, though.
we have to make that choice, and I think in my opinion,
Because of how hard she fought for Rex during Order 66, I don't think she would leave him there to be dead.
here's how I think it's framed.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing with Rex is happening where everything happening with Anakin and the Masters is out of focus. Everything happening between Rex and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan is in focus. Okay, and Obi-Wan is torn because he wants to defend Ahsoka because she's trying to have this moment, but they're surrounded by the 501st, and he knows that there's more coming, right? Because the chamber is separate. It's separate, and he can hear the chaos going on behind him where the Masters are falling like flies. Anakin is just taking them out, and then Rex hits the ground. Ahsoka goes to Rex. Obi-Wan is like, we have to go, turns and looks, and catches the very last second of Anakin plunging his lightsaber into the heart of Mace Windu. And he pulls it out, and he turns and he looks at Obi-Wan, and then he takes off. And then as soon as the elevator's door open, there's 501st. Anakin goes in, 501st come out. They're surrounded, so now they have to get out to get to Anakin.
And then I also see, okay, if Rex is down, right?
Yeah.
Ahsoka immediately goes to Rex, okay?
Yep.
She doesn't want to leave him. She's having, you know that tinnitus sound when people are going through trauma and stuff like
Yep.
that? She has that moment. And then
Yeah.
she hears Obi-Wan go, just help, because this is something that Obi-Wan would do. He knows Anakin's connection with Ahsoka, right? He would take the responsibility of defending Rex's body, staying with Rex, and Ahsoka would trust that, and he would get it so she could get out.
He would do what he did to the Chancellor whenever the Chancellor went under. He
Yeah.
would toss him over his shoulder and get out the window.
Yeah.
So
That's what he would
I feel
do.
like Obi-Wan would be the way for Ahsoka to get out. And somehow, some way, there would be a droid or something that Padme had sent, knowing Ahsoka would be there, and inform what is going on.
The little medic droid that's in the med bay, the little one that actually ends up helping her remove the chip from Rex in the ship. It's the same kind of droid. We saw it.
Hold on, you've lost me. What?
Okay.
What?
There's a little droid that we got introduced to with the Kaminoans in the Kaminoan research facility.
Yes.
When he was helping Fives and he was like,
I don't even know
"You're
what it was.
CT 55555," and
Yeah.
like it's the little dude, right? He's the messenger of like the nurse bots. He's like he's a nurse.
It's like the babies are fine, but she has lost the will to live. That
Yeah.
guy.
He comes up and goes, "Oh no, you have a wounded. Padme has this message for you. Let's go this way."
Okay, that's a little too contrived. We have to make it make sense. A little too contrived.
I'm giving a basic bullet point. We can
Yeah.
make it make sense.
I think-
That's the idea.
I think
Ahsoka needs to be delivered at Padme's in labor.
Yeah, so what we can say is yeah, okay, so that's it. So that's what I was going to ask. What's the message? Is the message that Padme saw the burning fire of the Jedi Temple and was like, what the heck's going on? You know, and whatever.
And so she assumes Luke's there or something like, not Luke, sorry.
Anakin.
Anakin's there, not knowing anything that's going on, but knowing that Anakin's there, she needs to know that he's okay because she's going to labor. So she
Yeah.
goes to Ahsoka because she's one of the only ones that found out
Yeah.
that she's pregnant. So she knows that if she gets to Ahsoka, she can get to Anakin.
So Ahsoka gets the message, and Ahsoka gets the message. She tracks down Anakin to Mustafar.
And there's gotta be, Ahsoka's angry, okay?
Yeah.
She doesn't understand why he's doing all this.
Yes.
So there is anger in Ahsoka as well during all this.
Yes.
And like, why are you doing this? And then, there's a fight, and he's, feeling betrayed and stuff like that. And she brings out, why are you doing all this? Padme is delivering your children right now.
Yeah. Well, and so I think so. So if she she tracks him down to Mustafar, we are gonna have to decide if Obi-Wan still manages to sneak on whatever. If Ahsoka allows him to come willingly, or if Obi-Wan has to sneak onto the ship.
Obi-Wan, she would allow Obi-Wan to come.
Okay, so what you're saying is they both.
He would have Rex with him at that point.
What you have is So I'm assuming they would go in the B-wing.
Yes, they would go in the
So-
B-wing.
so-
The little med droid in the
Padme
B-wing.
wouldn't be there.
Padme wouldn't be there.
Nope.
No.
The med droid in the B-wing would be working on Rex.
And they'd be going to
and they'd be
Mustafar.
going to Mustafar. When they get to Mustafar, Rex is still in critical condition, but he's close to being stabilized.
Yeah.
Okay? They go out to confront Anakin after he has already killed the Separatist leaders.
Yeah. Okay. So essentially, what you have is this moment where Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, like, they're gonna ask why.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna ask why, and Anakin is going to almost like a child, who, like, if you tell a child, like, if you like, okay, kid, listen up, and you give a child facts, the child is going to spit those facts right, but not because they believe them, but because they heard them. Anakin's going to be like that child. He's going to be like, well, this is what I know, because it is what he knows, because it was what he was told. He was like, you told me that it wasn't the Jedi. You told me that it wasn't the Jedi way, and that I didn't need to give into this, and we needed him alive. But I saw you kill Count Dooku. And then, of course, they're going to be like, what do you mean? We didn't kill Count Dooku. It's like, Palpatine did. And he was just like, I saw you kill Count Dooku. So then, of course, like, they have this argument. And then Ahsoka gets fed up because she realizes that they're bickering about nothing.
She's also still young, and so she's not as controlled as she's supposed to be that as an adult.
So Anakin, right about the point where he says, I have a problem, and Palpatine is the only one who knows how to fix it. And then Ahsoka says, well, you better figure it out fast. Padme's in labor.
Yeah.
And then at that moment, the eyes change.
Change to Sith or to...
They change to Sith. Because I think, because his desperation kicks in. Because the thing is his eyes turned whenever he was killing the Separatist, right? Because he was going deeper and deeper and deeper. But whenever he was talking to Padme, his eyes were back to normal. The minute that Ahsoka says that Padme is in labor, Anakin feels like he hasn't yet tapped into the power that he needs to save her. He becomes desperate. He taps back into it. And then at that point, all he's really trying to do is he's trying to push past them. He's basically like, you need to let me go, because you need to let me do what I need to do, because Palpatine has told me that he knows how to rescue her, and I need to figure out what that is. And they don't let him leave.
And I think to drive the point in,
it's essentially what happens when you corner a dangerous animal.
I think to drive the point in, like, if we're trying to make it so Ahsoka brings him back from that day,
Yes.
he's already gone over, but there's still a chance, right? Because by the time Luke does it, he's like way far. Anakin's gone.
Anakin's
he just barely was able to reach Anakin at that point.
Yeah.
Anakin just went off that edge.
Yeah.
So
Well, he's not even fully off. I think he's holding on to the edge.
I think it's gonna get to a point where he has Ahsoka under his saber.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the killing blow.
Yeah, no, I think I totally agree. That's one of the scenarios that I had, is where they have the fight, and instead of it being a 1-on-1, it's a 2v1. But the thing is I mean, again,
Obi-Wan would be knocked out in my opinion.
I think what happens is you have Anakin, who at this point is determined to do whatever he has to do to get to his goal, and like I said, he's already desperate. The eyes have changed color, so he's tapping into this power.
His eyes changed when he was fighting Obi-Wan too.
They did change when he was fighting Obi-Wan, which, God, don't even get me started on that scene. Anyway,
I'm not even gonna think about it. It's gonna make me cry.
So my thing is I think that Ahsoka and Obi-Wan are basically they're fighting, but they're only fighting on the defense, because Anakin lashes out first, because he's trying to accomplish a goal, and the people that he thought he could trust are standing in his way.
They also don't want to hurt him too.
They don't want to hurt him. They don't. But the thing is he views them as obstacles right now.
Mhm.
They are his friends, so there is that connection. But they are standing in his way. So he lashes out. So you have a fight, and I think Obi-Wan at this point, he's on the defensive for himself, but he also knows, like, Ahsoka's good, but Anakin trained her.
Yeah.
Anakin's really good. Basically Anakin and Obi-Wan are two of the best duelists
See, the way that I see this happening is that he ends up downing Obi-Wan somehow. Again,
Because
Obi-Wan dies.
Well, no, I think Obi-Wan basically takes a blow for Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I think there's actually a moment where Anakin knows that he can very easily take care of Ahsoka. He can not necessarily kill her, but get her out of commission. And I think Obi-Wan, he sees this and he thinks he's about to kill her. And I think Obi-Wan takes a full on a full on blow to the chest and goes down. And then all of a sudden, Anakin has this moment where he sees this and Ahsoka gets mad. So then what you have is
see her emotions taking over and her anger and her confusion, and then eventually that makes her sloppy, right? And you can have Anakin commenting on that.
Well, no. I think her anger has showed in the episode in the Mortis arc.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever she goes to the dark side, she goes full Doomslayer. So I think that what you have is essentially you have Anakin who's tapping into these powers, but he's also still conflicted because the one person who he considers his brother, he just cut down, and now he's fighting his daughter. And he was angry, and he did view them as obstacles, but then he's conflicted. But Ahsoka is just angry because now Obi-Wan could be dead, and Anakin is responsible for it. She doesn't know how to feel. So you have these two very conflicted, at this point, broken people going at it. And I think what it essentially comes down to is, the moment, in my opinion, Obi-Wan still had a chance to get Anakin to come back to his senses. It's that moment in the movie where he says, Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Well, you are lost. He gives up. He gives up on him. He says, well, then you're lost. If you can't see it the way that I see it, then you're wrong. Ahsoka won't do that. Ahsoka, at this point, I think that Obi-Wan is great, but Ahsoka is just more intuitive. And, call it what you want to call it. But that moment right there, that happens between the two of them. But instead of Ahsoka saying to Anakin, well, if you can't see it the way that I see it, then you're wrong. I think she does exactly what Luke does. She turns off her lightsaber. She says, "I'm not going to fight you because, essentially, I'm not going to fight you because."
If you really want to pull on the heartstrings, do that right. Anakin still sees her as an obstacle until he downs her, pretty much.
Yeah.
He's about to do the final blow, and what she says is, "This is making me tear up just thinking about it." I'm sorry I couldn't save you.
Yeah. I'm sorry I couldn't save you, Anakin. I love you.
Or yeah.
I think there needs to be an I love you there, and then boom, almost like in Rebels, Ahsoka.
So I'm gonna clip this and I'm gonna send it to my phone and I'm gonna post this on Instagram and I'm gonna tag the people. But there's 4 people I want to get in a room to enact this with this rewrite. If we actually sat down and wrote the script out for it,
it's a lot of butterfly effect.
I have 4 people in mind that I would want to get on a podcast episode and record a rewrite of this.
Okay.
Sam Witwer.
Oh my God! Don't
as Palpatine.
Yeah.
I can't. It's Ashley Eckstein.
Yeah.
Matthew, and then I only know him as his Instagram handle, Jackter. But it's the Obi-Wan voice actor.
Oh.
James Arnold Taylor.
Yeah.
So James, Matthew, Ashley, and Sam. I would love to get
Matthew Lanter.
I would love to. First off, I'd love to meet them in person.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd also. They are.
I'm dying right now.
Look. Okay, that's very lofty goals, but I think that essentially, I think you're right. I think it comes down to Anakin basically. Because he is who he is, and even though Ahsoka is fighting, she's fighting buffed right now because she's buffing herself with her anger. I think Anakin still his skill wise he's just better than her at this point. And so there's this moment where Ahsoka she realizes that at this point, it's not, she doesn't really view this as she's being genuine. She's like, I'm sorry I couldn't save you.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
I love you.
She would generally think she failed.
She failed.
And
this is it.
She knows that, even if he didn't kill her, her grief would kill her. Just
exactly. And so then there's that moment where Anakin hesitates, and you have this moment where it's like they're you hear all you hear is the boiling lava.
And like
That's
can
all
see
you hear.
Ahsoka closing her eyes and those tears.
And
coming down.
he's holding it, and then you see the eyes just turn, and he just, and then you hear the music and the boiling lava, and then he turns off his lightsaber.
Take me to Padme.
And he's like, and he just, it's like, take me there. And so, we don't have to go any further, but essentially what we can say is that, like, obviously there's going to be backlash because Anakin killed a couple of Jedi Masters and
Absolutely,
executed
yeah.
Order
But then,
66.
it could be quote unquote pardoned that he was high-key manipulated by Palpatine.
Well,
eventually.
I think
Yoda would still be alive. Okay.
yeah,
Also,
with,
I'm going to say
Obi-Wan-
that I think in regards to the Rebel situation,
Mm-hmm.
four-armed saber dude.
Grievous.
Yeah, his name left me. He would be the main enemy, and not Vader. In
Oh,
Rebels.
dude.
Oh,
Dude.
Ooh.
No. That brings a whole new context to that episode where they go and shut down that set of battle droids that thought it was still the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for the, maybe you kind of
Well,
make a series,
well,
a
the-
mini-series for your podcast about this, the butterfly effect.
Yeah, I mean, it's the butterfly
Dude.
effect, and we, because the thing is it changes the complexity of everything, because then of course, like, I think in this timeline, Anakin not being into the dark side, I honestly think that Anakin had a hand in Padme's death. I think he legitimately, like, he destroyed.
Literally, he did.
I-
He did.
destroyed her
He,
most
he,
leg,
he destroyed
but
her.
she-
It's,
I
well, not even
have-
that. She couldn't going through that kind of a stress, like,
not only that, the man that she loved, that she felt the safest,
Yeah.
betrayed her.
so
He also choked her. a
I
little
think
bit.
I think so what you have is Anakin shows up wherever she's having her baby with Ahsoka, and also Obi-Wan, who at this point is also in critical condition. You have Anakin, he's looking at the destruction, and he's like, I can't believe I did this, and Ahsoka's like, you did it, but you're not solely responsible for this, and there's only one way you can make this up. And then of course,
And then she will say also, but we can fix this.
here's what I think, right?
Mhm.
So Yoda, in all the madness, manages to slip out and confronts Palpatine. While all that's happening, Anakin, all the stuff with Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan is happening, right?
Mhm.
Yoda loses. He still loses that fight,
Okay.
okay? And he still feels like he has to exile himself. But he finds out that Padme Amidala is giving birth. And he finds out from Senator Organa that is like, I've heard some rumors about who the father is, and you're not going to believe it. And then, of course, as soon as Anakin shows up, Yoda's there. And, of course, Yoda goes on the... Yoda...
Really did.
Well, I think initially he's like whatever. He like whoa, wait a minute, and then he sees what's happening and realizes what's going on. Ahsoka informs Yoda what went down, and then of course Yoda is like, we still have to deal with Palpatine, and he has the entire clone army. And
I will say, in order to help Anakin in regards to his not quite innocence, but in his situation,
Yeah.
all that footage that Palpatine has like doctored,
Yeah.
they'll find the original footage and
Yeah.
stuff, and so Anakin will tell his story. He
Yo.
will have to have some sort of punishment.
Yo.
oh yeah, no. I mean, he's responsible for the death at this point. He gave the order.
Yeah.
He gave the order.
Palpatine would still come looking for Anakin on Mustafar. We have one final showdown on Mustafar.
It's Ahsoka and Anakin versus Palpatine.
It's Ahsoka. No. Not even that. It's Ahsoka, Anakin, and Yoda versus Palpatine.
Why is Yoda there?
Because
You had mentioned that.
they went to Padme.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
Padme was there, like not far.
So then at this
Well, no,
point-
no. But in that timeline, she went to Polis Massa because Polis Massa
That's
is
right,
closer to
Polis
Mustafar.
Massa. Okay.
But at this point, she'd be giving birth on
Mustafar.
Coruscant.
Oh,
Mars,
Coruscant.
She never went to Mustafar.
She never went to Mustafar.
It's Obi-Wan and Ahsoka
He knows.
that
He
went
knows
to
that
Mustafar.
Anakin would be coming back for the babies.
And so in my opinion, so actually that's a good point. So in my opinion, this whole everybody showing up, whatever, doesn't happen that way. I think what happens is I think Palpatine and Yoda have their encounter, and Yoda leaves, and Yoda goes to Bail Organa, and he's like, I need to go into exile and whatever, and then Bail Organa tells him what's happening, and they decide to go. By the time they get there, Palpatine's already there, and he's in the middle.
Of
He's
fighting.
well, no. He's in the middle of essentially like conjuring some Sith sorcery. He's there. He's there to take Anakin's children and conform them to his ideals. So essentially, what you have is Yoda shows up while Padme's giving birth, and Palpatine's there to basically basically like take these children and turn them against them, almost like you remember that the Old Republic cinematic thing with the two brothers and a little sister.
Round 2, ready for I am.
So essentially you have Yoda and Palpatine who are exhausted. Yoda shows up, and at this point, I think what happens is Yoda shows up, realizes what's going on, and I don't think Palpatine realizes it. I think
this happened immediately after Ahsoka and Anakin, essentially, as Anakin has been calmed, and they're already on the way.
They're already on the way, and they're already on the way, and at this point, Yoda has already found out. So what happens is Anakin shows up with a busted up Obi-Wan, with Ahsoka, and then Yoda's also there. Palpatine's there. Padme's there giving birth, and at this point, Palpatine, he's made it very clear what his goal is. Like, if he can't have Anakin, he's going to have the spawn of Anakin. Because he's not because he can see the future, but obviously he's very in tune with the Force, and at the same time,
because Anakin is as strong as he is, his children are about to be as strong, if not
stronger. And so then you have this, the final showdown is Yoda, Anakin, Ahsoka versus Palpatine for what is this?
Frankly, it's fair because Palpatine is
So
incredibly strong.
Palpatine has already proven that he can beat Yoda in one-on-one combat, right?
That, I think he would be almost to the point of enraged because everything has fallen apart.
Yes.
And not going according to
And so he's enraged, which means he's buff because he's a dark side user. Okay? And then you have Anakin and Ahsoka who have Anakin's been fighting nonstop because he fought in the Jedi Temple. He killed Mace Windu, fought off all the Masters.
He's probably exhausted right now.
Anakin's exhausted, but here's what I think happens. I honestly think that you almost have this, and I hate to use this reference, but in Rise of Skywalker, it was Palpatine versus Rey and Ben, and they were buffed by the light, and they were going against the dark. I think Anakin at this point, he's the embodiment of both sides. So
he would be essentially like Mace Windu at that point.
he would.
From now on, his saber would be purple.
Well, no, not even that. He would be fighting. He'd be fighting for the right purpose. He'd be drawing from the dark side, but his eyes wouldn't change. And Palpatine would be perplexed. He's like, I don't understand this. He's like you're angry.
He is literal balance to the Force.
He doesn't bring balance to the Force.
He is balance.
He becomes balance. He's righteous anger. He becomes a righteous anger, and so basically you have this moment where Palpatine realizes that he is the chosen one. He's perfectly embodying because he's drawing. I mean, he's
using both,
he's using both light and dark,
but not in the way that mastering both light and dark. He's quite literally harnessing both light and dark.
He's using his anger to push his like because he's fighting for his family. He's fighting for his children, his unborn children, and his wife and his friends, and he's fighting for redemption. But he's also angry that he even got pushed to this point. And so you have he let himself. So you have the mesh of this, but also at the same time, at this point, the monkey's off his back. He doesn't have to keep it a secret anymore. Yoda's there. Obi-Wan's there. Obviously, he's Obi-Wan like he can already assume that Obi-Wan knows because Ahsoka probably told him on the ride there. And so the monkey's off his back. He's not holding. It's literally like if you have somebody, if somebody is holding on to a secret and they let go of it, that release, that deep breath, and that's
I know exactly what
this is that moment. Anakin takes that deep breath and he's like, I'm angry, but I'm going to use this anger for the right reasons. And so you essentially, and even Yoda, like Palpatine and Yoda both are taken aback at this because they are the dyad. Yoda is the full embodiment of light, and Darth Sidious is the full embodiment of dark. And Anakin is standing right in the middle. Oh yes, yes. And
after the fact of everything,
I think
he approach Anakin and he says, "You are balanced."
I think what you have this moment where he's fighting off all three of them, and I think the moment Anakin realizes the balance is like he's struggling in his mind, and then like Palpatine has him at his mercy, and he's deciding, you know what, I'm gonna take him all out in one hit, and you have almost this like Force Unleashed moment where he unleashes a torrent of lightning, and it's just all you just see you see this like this this blind light, and you see from the point of view of Ahsoka, and she's holding her, and she looks, and when she looks, it's just Anakin holding the lightning with one hand, and then with his left hand, he's holding it back, and then almost like Starkiller, he unleashes, and the lightning's yellow.
I mean, Luke's original last name was Starkiller.
And so
The Adventures of Anakin Starkiller.
So I think you have this moment where Anakin becomes the full embodiment of he becomes balanced, and he ends up he kills Sidious, but the thing is he doesn't kill an unarmed prisoner. He kills a threat. He kills a threat to himself and to the galaxy and to his family.
Yoda being the goofball that he is, because Yoda does have a sense of humor. We learned that in Empire.
Yeah.
My pitch for how this movie ends.
Oh, I have a pitch for how the movie ends too. But
Okay.
Go ahead. How long are we? Just over an hour.
My pitch for how this movie ends.
Yeah.
Yoda tells everyone that he had Anakin go undercover and like kind of lure Palpatine out into the open, and Anakin agrees to this for the sake of
a little out of Anakin's hands, maybe.
for the sake of Anakin still being able to be a Jedi and save face.
I don't think
Because
Anakin would want to be a Jedi.
I actually, you want to hear my pitch?
What's up?
My pitch is that Anakin, he expels himself, and he exiles himself.
I think he would go more so as just a Force user, kind of like how Ahsoka did. And I think Ahsoka would follow.
I think here's what I think. I think Anakin would lead the Jedi Order because he still has his feelings are a mixed bag about the Jedi Order as a whole, right?
He still doesn't trust the council.
He still has these. He is balanced, but he is still human. He's not like Neo, where he achieves the oneness and he's like, I am now perfect. You know, it's like that's the one thing I didn't like about the Matrix is that Neo becomes the one and he loses the human side of himself. Anakin achieves balance, but he's still human. He still has that seed of distrust he has to work through. He says, I can't be a part of this. I need to work on myself, and I need to work on my family.
I have to walk away from the village.
Exactly. He was like, I have to walk away from the Order. I'm taking my family, and I'm going to focus on myself and my family. And then he leaves. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Listen to this. I think Ahsoka goes with him. I think Obi-Wan stays with the Order because Obi-Wan loves Anakin, loyal to Anakin. The Order is who he is, and I think what happens is in the future, after Anakin's kids are a little older, I think Anakin opens up his own Jedi enclave on Naboo.
Okay, and to put this in part in regards to Rebels.
Yeah.
At some point, Ezra ends up there.
Oh yeah, no. So I think Rebels isn't called Rebels; it's called something else. And I think the main threat is just dealing with the remaining Separatists led by General Grievous.
Here's the thing too, is that with Anakin doing things the way he is, he would be in a situation like where Ezra is, where he has attachments and things like that, and yet he's still good.
Yes.
He did fall, yes, because even Ezra kind of dipped his toe in the dark side.
He opened up a dark side holocron.
I mean, he was like.
He went, hey, yo, what this do?
What this do? It's like the book in The Evil Dead. Yeah, let's totally read this.
Oh, what? A vinyl made out of flesh? Cool.
There will still, and I think that's why we should have another separate conversation about Mandalore and a separate.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wanted to.
I think it should be called the butterfly effect.
I agree.
Because I want it to be so that Ezra still has Hera and
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
But how would he get to that point, and what would tie into the original Ahsoka, Padme, and now Anakin? And what about the kids? Where's the baby and all of this? So I think this is a potential for a potential series.
Well, I think what happens is because I mean obviously like the remaining threats are like they have to still deal with the clones. They have to figure out how to deal with that. We don't have to come up with that right now. And then obviously like like you said, I mean like Anakin's essentially he's going to exile himself. He's going to take his wife and his kids back to his wife's home planet, right? And they're going to live. They'll probably end up. They won't be destroyed, and they would probably go live. They probably go live in that same place that she was talking about in episode 3. Probably go live in the same place. I think the same place they got married. They'd probably just go live in that house.
I think, as far as the clones, I think it's a very easy follow-up. Ahsoka and Rex would be working on fixing the clones because Rex would be proof that the clones weren't inherently bad. It was something that
Well,
happened. in
but
the
no, but
direction.
here's the problem. Here's the problem. They would no longer be the Grand Army of the Republic because yeah, like they're going to do that again. So essentially, what you have is Ahsoka and Rex are going to take it upon themselves to fix the clones, and then the clones are going to be their own entity.
Yes, that's what I was gonna
And I
say.
think they're still gonna instead of like imperialist at this point, because at that point the Empire doesn't really
Exist.
exist.
Yep.
But there's gonna be people that were on the side of Palpatine. Palpatine's roots were
They dug deep.
into
Yep.
into
Yep.
the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still gonna be a dark force driving things. It's just not gonna be Anakin as Vader.
Yep.
It's gonna be something. That's why the Grievous is gonna have his own thing.
Yep. And then you're still going to have Moff Gideon,
Yeah, you're still gonna
who would still be there.
now and then Maul also. So
Well,
then
and Maul, who controls Mandalore?
Yep.
So the thing is it's not a perfect scenario where Anakin doesn't turn to the dark side. Everything's hunky dory. There's still evil in the galaxy, but the thing is Anakin. The prophecy is one who will bring balance to the Force, right? He said misinterpreted. Maybe what it actually is one who becomes balance in the Force.
Yeah.
So
How about this?
That's
you
our-
guys. We'll put a poll. You guys let us know which of these story threads you want us to follow first.
I cannot believe that we actually went this far.
We
with it.
have
This is
Maul
actually
and
crazy.
Mandalore.
Maul and Mandalore.
We have General Grievous and the rest of the Separatist things.
We have the clone being like their own sort of mercenary army.
The clones becoming their own
We can
deal.
also discuss the different sects, like the 501st and everyone else.
Yeah, the 501st,
Covered in
yep.
Clone Wars.
The
What
50
happens
yeah.
involved in it. Because again, there's no Darth Vader. There's no immediate threat.
And-
like that.
and-
Won't be their threat.
And we also have to deal with the trauma of all the clones having actual memories of them killing their Jedi friends.
That and there's also
Jedi almost wiped out at this point.
the roots that Sidious had planted. We can follow up on that.
Yeah.
We have 4 different things that we could follow up on. What do you guys want us to do? Let us know in the little poll down
And
here.
let us know it. And look, here's the
And
thing.
If
Like
you're on YouTube, let us know in the comments down below.
there's 3 of us here. We all 3 sort of had similar ideas, but there's some of us had differing ideas. There's probably some things we missed out on because it's a lot. The butterfly. It's. I mean, when you change one thing, you do have to change everything else. The butterfly effect. It doesn't just affect one character. But what I really wanted to focus on was the fact that everything wasn't hunky dory.
Yeah.
Anakin.
I agree with that. I agree that not everything isn't just solved now that Anakin is no longer Vader. There's still
issues.
there's still evil,
problems.
There's still,
Yep.
there's still problems, and it's never gonna be all good.
Yeah.
It never will.
It never will be.
Because there has to be a balance.
Where there's light, there is dark.
Yes. But with Anakin being that balance, he can help other people be that balance
Mhm.
and have a stronger hand when it comes to going against the dark.
And so
And light
yeah.
isn't always good as well.
Huh?
Light isn't always good as well.
And yeah, so it's one of those things where, people were upset whenever the new. I mean, people they talk about the sequel trilogy. They say what they want. I remember one of the big things was that people were upset like these 3 movies just erase the impact of the last 3. I said no, they don't erase the impact. If you expected, the problem is that Return of the Jedi, as great of a movie as it is, and the ending is beautiful. I cry every time I hear that song and I see that shot. It set the happy redundancy meter too high. So then, of course, people don't realize that it's almost like growing up. I always thought I never thought I'd get married, but at the same time, I'm like, I never thought I'd get married. I never had all these different things. I even made the joke to my wife. We got married. We got in the car to go to Florida for our honeymoon. I said, "Where's the end credits of my life?"
This isn't real.
I was like, "Where's the end credits?" Because you're conditioned to believe that it hits a certain point and that's it. There's a whole story after that.
Yeah.
Now the movies are what they are. We're not gonna debate that. But sometimes, like people, I hear people talk about all the time. What if Anakin didn't turn to the dark side? And their scenario is just too happy. And I'm like, look, it's a good thing that Anakin didn't turn. He still gets his family, but there are still problems.
Star Wars universe is too vast.
It's too vast.
to be all good.
And Clone Wars Season 7 made it worse because now we're realizing that there's a whole other conflict going on. Like, we were worried about the droid attack on the Wookiees and General Grievous being on Utapau, but now we realize there's a whole planet that's under siege. There's a whole planet that's under siege. So, I mean, like, it's a lot, and I want to follow a lot of these threads, but, you guys let us know what you think. I ramble a lot. What is going on? I just saw the top of my head.
That was the YouTube short that I posted.
I just saw the top of my head on his phone. All right, guys. We love y'all. We thank y'all. Please like, subscribe. Watch this video about 100 times. Let us know what we said wrong. Let us know what we said right, and let us know which threads you'd like us to follow.
May the force be with you, always.
I love you. I hate you.
Dang it! You yelled that right as I pooted into the mic. I was trying to get a solid poot.